A very Merry Christmas to all of you out there. Before we get into the verse of the week, I want to just talk about the topic that we had for today. That is self-love versus God's love. Let's understand what is self-love first. Self-love, as per my understanding and whatever I've read up, it's all about loving oneself, pampering oneself, so that you're able to build that confidence and that you're able to kind of then truly love the other person out there or share your love with somebody else. So the first part of that condition is to pamper and love yourself. So I have 3 questions before we get into the verse of the week. The first one being, if we are loving ourselves, what is the limit? Where do I draw the line before I can actually share my love with somebody else? Take care of somebody else. Think about someone else. Is it imaginary? Is it different for different people? So it could be a little subjective, is what I understand from there. The second question I have is, what is the requirement for if I need to love myself and I say, okay, fine, I've reached a point that now I can love somebody else. Why do I need to do that? Doesn't the other person also follow the same philosophy of loving oneself? So if each one is loving themselves, believing in the ideology of self-love, why do I need somebody else's love? So each one is loving themselves and not requiring love from anyone else. Is that the life or the world we are looking at? And my third question, which is the most important one, why do I need to love myself? Why is there a need for self-love? Do I feel that there is some kind of a gap, or I do not have others loving me enough, or there isn't that kind of a love that is there to take care of me? So I need to fulfill it with my own love so that I can grow in confidence. And that is where I want to jump into the verse of the week. And that is the most famous verse that we have. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish, but have eternal life. God says, I love you. Why do you need to love yourself when I love you? The question that I need to ask is, if I am loving myself, that means I do not understand God's love. God's love is for me. He sacrificed Himself for me so that I can understand Him and I can kind of start loving or taking care of the other folks, other people who are in need of it. Our focus in God's love moves from us to the others. God never ever spoke about Himself, His love, His requirement. He always says, I have come here to serve others. Whenever you think about your wants and needs, try to understand, is this my love, my self-love defining it, or is it God's love defining it? And when we understand that there is a difference between the two, is where we will understand God's love better. To understand God's love, we need to connect with Him more. And if we are indulging in more of self-love, there is a certain amount of, you might say, a selfishness which comes into play, because it's all about me. He says in another verse, we haven't seen Him, but if we love each other, we will see God in each one of us. So He never ever says, when you love yourself, you will see God in yourself. He says, when you love the other person, you will see God in the other person. Basically, God resides in us and we share God with others. So my dear friends, meditate on this verse on this beautiful Christmas day. Remember, what is it that you want to kind of measure on? If it is self-love, that means we haven't discovered God's love enough. Take the time out and try to understand what is God's love. Where He was ready to sacrifice, it's not only ready, He sacrificed His own Son so that you believe in Him. Take that time out, understand Him, understand God's love. Because once you do, there's a promise. For whosoever believes in him shall have eternal life. That's the message this Christmas, my dear friends. Have a great Christmas and a fantastic New Year.